I wasn't going to film this one because I was going to be a really tight day, get this done all in one day. Doesn't look like it's going to anymore. It's the 2007 Subaru Legacy. It's not the Outback, it's just a regular sedan. And if you could see back behind there, it says EJ, let me get a flashlight. It says EJ25. It's just a single overhead cam. As you can tell, the cover is just got the single cam there. But they're supposed to have fixed this problem by now. The head gasket issue. This car only has about 120,000 miles on it, and the head gasket's leaking pretty bad. I'll go ahead and show you. So you look at the miles. It's that bottom number, the 107. 489, so it's not even 120,000, it's just a little over 100,000 that's leaking. This car's been wrecked a few times. It's had a little hard go at it. I'll show you with the flashlight. It's the EJ25. You can't see it. You can see the EJ from one side and you can see the 25 from the other. You'll see it real good after I take the intake off. I'll show you again. But going down underneath, let's get down. Look at the head gasket, and you can see this side's all covered in oil. I mean, it's leaking oil like crazy, just like everywhere. But you can see the line there where it's leaking, and then you come back here and you look up and over the top. Look at the back of that. You can see it's leaking back here pretty good, which sucks. This thing's way too new to be leaking like that. So what I'm going to do, when we look at the valve cover looks decent, like it's not leaking too bad. But let's see if we can get up in there. I'm using this as a probe camera now. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and do just that one side. She was going to take it into the dealership and have them do it. And I think I can do a better job than they would. They usually pull the whole engine. I'm going to go ahead and try it their way, see how that goes. Somebody's going to ask, what's that buzzing sound? Did you figure out what that buzzing, humming sound is? And it's the blankety blank fly-by-wire. Whenever you see a throttle body that looks like this, it looks like a door that's got an arc at the top. You know, it's a rectangle with an arc at the top. That's the fly-by-wire. Instead of having a normal throttle cable, it's actuated electronically using sensors and stuff. And it's really nice for cruise control because your cruise control is built right into that. It's really nice for a couple other things. I don't like it as a whole. I like to have control of it from under the hood, for one. And I think it's an unnecessary expense, yada yada. Anyway, I'll get back on task. The first things we're going to do is we're going to go through and I'm going to start pulling some things off of the top here. The intake's going to come off, and even though we're not working on this side, I just pull all of this because we're going to be pulling this, and it's just easier that way. It gets everything out of the way so that you can access all the bolts that you need to for pulling off this plate so that you can pull off the manifold. So we'll go ahead and start with that. We're also going to, before we do anything, we're going to pull the negative cable and pull the battery out. This is backwards from what they've done a lot of years. They have the washer tank here, but here we have a fuse block. And so we're going to take all the cables and wires off from here and then lay them aside in the hole where the battery used to be. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to take the AC compressor. It's the teeniest little AC compressor you've ever seen. And we're basically just going to flop it over and stick it where the battery was. So you can see I've got the little intake cold air, ram air thing removed. I've got the battery removed. I've got the intake from the back side removed. Next thing I do is I'll go down in here. I've got these covers removed. You just pull the bolt here, here, loosen this one on the alternator, and then pull the bolt here. Then you can undo the 12mm nut here off the alternator, and it's supposed to come off, but of course it's stuck. And they use a lot of really crappy soy-based wiring, I'm sorry to report. Undo the AC compressor, unbuckle the alternator, feed that through here. Yeah, that soy-based stuff, it might be biodegradable, but it's like happy to biodegrade a little bit too fast. So get down in here on the tensioner pulley, loosen it. It's just a 12 millimeter. Do the same thing on the alternator. And then once those are done, take another 12 millimeter from above and just zip it. When a problem comes around, you must zip it. Zip it good. And then that'll enable you to get your belts off. Like this. And we'll drain the antifreeze next, because we got to pull this upper radiator hose so that we can get to the pulley down there. And also I'll pull the fans and then the coolant tank. I'll show you what that looks like. Just throw these up on the windshield. It's a good idea to mark them if you're a little bit unfamiliar which is which. Just use a paint pen. And then go ahead and pull off this bracket. It's just these two 12 millimeter bolts, and it'll clear the path for the timing cover. This is the same as the other single overhead cam 2.5. It's just the EJ25. It's nothing special. The intake manifold's a little different on this one than it is on the older models, but it's actually easier to work with on this one if you're doing do one head. That's why we're doing it the way that we're doing it. Trying to think what else. I'm going to pull off the tube for the overflow. Set that aside. Going to pull the compressor bracket here in a minute. It's just a bolt that's up here and then the two down here. Might be easier to do the intake manifold before we do that. I think I'll do it in that order this time. More than one way to skin a cat, but the more you do it, the more proficient you get, and you find more better ways. You know what I'm saying? Alright, change of plans. We're just going to go ahead and pull the alternator. Grab your special nut from the back side. You don't want to lose your nut. Get that turning, hook it with something. So the threads aren't pulling it out. You are with this. The rotation with the air ratchet just makes it easier. Oh. Should have stuck with my first plan of draining the coolant, because I'm moving this radiator hose and it's making it piss all over the floor. Quit pissing on my floor, you! So once that's out of the way, or it's unbolted, you can tip it up, and then hopefully these will align better and want to come out. I think this whole thing's been for shitzeled. Alright, so grab a pry bar, kick through tripod, good job. Give it a little wiggle, give it a little prying. Try to not make it go this way, try to make it go up. I already screwed that up, but it's not the end of the world. Don't feel bad if you did what I did. Essay. Alright, so take the alternator, set it aside. What I do is I just pile everything in order down the side of the car. So as we've been pulling stuff off, you got the ram air, you got the battery hold down, battery, the brackets that go over the top of the alternator, those shields, and then the alternator. And then we'll just start piling things together that way. Of course, we won't set our AC compressor there because we're going to leave the lines attached. We're just going to tip it over and set it where the battery used to been. This thing's all ripped to crap and brackets bent out of shape. But we're going to go ahead and take this thing off anyway. We got to take this off in order to get it draining. And then once it's off, we'll probably just go ahead and keep going with the rest of this teardown. It's a lot of 12 millimeter used on these newer ones, and then a bunch of these crappy body clips that are soy based, and they're going to break. I got a crappy attitude today. I admit it. So here on the passenger side of the vehicle is the much sought after radiator drain cock. Just pull out the Phillips screw in the plastic, and there it goes. You get the camera out of the way so it doesn't get splashed, but you pull that out and you got a gush. I like to have it drained from the side of the drain pan, that way the splash this way gets caught and this way it goes far enough where it doesn't get all over the floor. Otherwise you get a big halo effect all the way around the pan, especially when you have the vehicle lift. I just like to lift it once and then have access to the above and below. It's just so much faster. Next up, I'm going to pull the power brake booster vacuum line right here, and then also the little fuel line down here. I just use the same tool for both of them. 90-degree bent pair of pliers, needle nose of course, and you can grab onto it, give it the old twisteroo, flip it around, grab it Chinese finger trap style and fling it off. Just kind of tuck it out of the way and do the same on the other side for this little fuel line. You can depressurize the fuel by pulling the fuel pump fuser relay and just running it out of gas, or you can just let it squirt like a reckless sucker that I am. I don't know, sometimes I'm really careful, sometimes I'm just not. If you don't want to mess with the quick disconnect here, then just leave the cap on it and you can just pull the screw on the side here, the regulator, and be happy. Or you can push this in and fight it and work it back and forth and get squirt everywhere. It's up to you. Oh my gosh, look at that crazy guy. He's taking it off the regulator. So I put my glove over the top so it doesn't splash me in the face. And of course I've pulled this out of the plastic clip, the soy-based crappy clip. What's funny is about the same time you start seeing export to Middle Eastern markets markings, you see stuff really drop in quality. Saw that with Ford too. And sure enough, we see markings in Arabic and the quality's gone to shit. So I just take the line and just tuck it between the lower and the upper lines in between the metal, and it just holds it neat and out of the way. Go ahead and pull your spark plug wires out of your valve covers. Before you pull it out, twist it side to side a bunch of times and then pull it out, and you'll find that it keeps the middle part intact. And you'll be happy like that. And then you got these obnoxious plates that they've done on the intake manifold. You can see right here on each side, you just pull the bolts. See, can you see that? Now you can. There's one that's underneath the PCV hose down here. There's two in the top, and then there's one on the back side typically. And this one looks like they forewent the one on the back side, so it's just those. Oh, it's on the front. They switched it, so you got one on the front side. They're all 12 millimeter. You gotta pull those. What I do is I just leave the spark plug wires all connected just to this bracket, and then I just pull it and it just keeps them in order. I'll pull them across the top here and then pull the bracket and the wires and just have that be one unit and set it aside. Funny thing about this video today is, like I said, I was not going to do a video, but then, you know, my attitude's gonna suck through the whole thing, you know, which I regret. But the long story short is that if I just tough through this, even though the whole morning's just gone really crappy, if I just stick with it and get it done, and I didn't sleep last night, if I just get it done, it'll help a whole bunch of people, and then later I'll redo it. I'll make another video on the same topic and do it cut and polished and go a lot more detail. But some people will be like, your lighting sucks, or your attitude, you know, I know that, but I'm still doing it anyway instead of not doing it at all. So you're welcome, because it's going to help people. So that's just kind of my attitude on getting it done, even though my attitude sucks. So expect that. I don't know how to show this in the tripod, so I'm going to pull you out for a minute. Get your puke bag. So you got a bolt in the front. There's the one with the red Loctite, comes out of here. There's one in the back here, and then another that's on this steel bracket on this side. You can see that I've pulled the bolt there. So you get those all pulled out, and then you start just maneuvering it around. You take this line here and get it up and around your fuel line. Just set it up over the top like that, and that'll make it so that you can get your bracket out. It's kind of an order of operations thing. So you take this out as a unit like we described earlier, set it aside. I've marked the spark plug wire with a star for the one that's at the top for each side, and I've marked the ignition coil the same. I just use a little paint pen. I like the uni paint pens, but I can't find them anymore, so I have to put up with this Sharpie nonsense. I don't like them, but that's what I got. So the next thing you do is take this and just set it aside. When you're doing your valve cover gasket and your other stuff, you want to have it in this position. When you go to take your intake manifold off, then you need to have it in this position. So We're going to do the intake manifold first, so it'll be on that side. Now is a real good time to pull your oil sending unit wire, your coolant temperature sending unit, and your crankshaft position sensor wire, and set them aside. You can see I've pulled this off. You don't have to do that, because this is all going to be connected and done at the same time as the intake manifold, and it's going to be on a bulk, what do you call it, bulk wire harness? I don't know, one with all of them together on it. And I'm going to do this off camera because I'm just not winning. So next up, you can see I pulled the radiator hose. I did that off camera, but pull that off. Make sure you clean all the corrosion off the aluminum ports where the hose goes onto it. So to pull the radiator out of this, you just got to pull the mounts here and here. You also got to pull your hood support and get it out of the way. Once they're off and out of the way, it's a lot easier to get your harmonic balancer off, and that's what we're trying to do, is get to the timing belt and stuff. So these are just 12mm. They just use the butterfly gun and zip them up and set them aside. One bolt. And then the plugs, of course, you got to pull those for the radiator fans, your AC fan and your radiator fan. Set these aside. Now, were it not for the automatic transmission cooling lines and those fans being hooked up, you could just pull these off and your whole radiator would just come out. It'd just be happy to come up out of there. But as I said, you got to unplug a couple of things first. So the one plug is down here on the side. The other one you got to kind of fish down below, and it's underneath the coolant tank. I just like to do those from underneath. So here's the one plug on the far passenger side for the radiator fan. You got to lift up on the tab. You push the plug in tight, lift up the tab, and then pull back. If you take a flathead screwdriver or something and stick it in there, you know, like a little stubby or whatever, it'll hang, and then you can pull the thing out a lot easier. I'm just going to use these pliers because I don't want to get it back up off of the creeper and whatnot, make the video too long. And so you just do the same thing with this plug over here. Get you a little light on it. You see you got that same tab, and then just pull it out. And then you've got your transmission cooler lines to deal with. You've got one connection right here that you can see, and you just, what I usually do is I like to do the long one first, the one that's on this side. You get a little light on that. Get this side off because it's longer, and then this hose will hang down. You pull it out of the bracket, and that way you can have your catch pan that's catching the transmission fluid underneath it on the far side, and then this will run out pretty quick. But this, because the rubbers, I don't know, they just take longer to drain. There's more fluid in them. And then have the pan move over to this side, and then you can do that side too. Okay, so I know it's a little bit obscure. I'll see if I can zoom in a little. We got a couple of clamps we got to get rid of here. This is the coolant that goes through the throttle body. There's this hose up at the top. You just got to pull the clamp back and then Chinese finger trap it off. And then the same thing on the one that's leading away. Kind of push it out, turn your pliers around, and just kind of push, twist, wiggle, and it'll pop right off. Your knock sensor's down here. This little white plug. You want to pull out the knock sensor, and then you got 4 bolts on each side, 2 together here, and then 2 on the outsides, and then some sensors in the front. You got your, oil control valve. Where are we at? There we are. Oil control valve, camshaft position sensor, and then another. So you just need to get those so that they're all unplugged, and then you can pull the PCV hose off this far side over here. I don't know if that's in frame. And then you're ready to go. Pull the bracket for your oxygen sensors on the front, because it all comes as one harness, one assembly. And you've got your, let's see, what else am I hanging up on? You've also got your line for the EGR that's coming into the back of it here. You want to pull that off, and then your manifold will come out, or it should come out. I'm still hung on that same coolant line because I didn't thread it all the way through. There we go. Now we're free. Just get this out and set it aside. It takes a little doing getting that big master plug to come undone. This one, you want to unbolt the bracket here, and then there's a little square tab that you pull down and you slide it off, and then it'll come free, and you'll be good to go. Of course, this one came off earlier. It goes onto the resonance box that's for the intake. Just kind of set that aside. Now we got a lot of room. We'll go ahead and get that timing belt and harmonic balancer. So to get that 22mm bolt out of there, we turn it until there's some resistance, and then once we have some good resistance, we got everything out of the way. The worst case scenario here is that I'm going to cream this and break it, and then I'll have to get out the welder. Last time I went to film one of these, I did that exact same thing. There's a little thing at the top, is on that Toyota that I have. Wound up having to get out the aluminum welder and weld it back on, so you just want to be careful of that. But this is a wrench, this is impact, this is an impact wrench. And you do have to hit it pretty hard, by the way. I'm not doing any sissy hits here. You'll hit it and it won't go, and then all of a sudden it goes. So that's how you get an impact wrench in there. I could have probably fit my impact gun, but I kind of wanted to showcase that technique, because oftentimes you get in a situation where you can't really get in there. It's nice to have some type of an option to deal with. Probably should do that in an independent video. But there's a lot you can do wrong. You can smack your hand. If you're doing it on the wrong engine, of course these it's fine to do it on, but if you're to do it on some funky engine that I'm not aware of, it could potentially cause damage. So just wiggle this back and forth and it'll come off. Normally they come off really easy. If you want to put cardboard or some kind of a barrier, I brace my forearms against the radiator support. That way when this comes free it doesn't go whack into the condenser and bend fins and potentially cause a leak. Lots of wiggling, a little bit of pulling, and we'll set that aside. Next, we'll go ahead and pull the timing cover. I'll get my magnetic dish out and set it here, and then just kind of go on a tour day, get her done. It's a little 10mm and a 1" since my ring on my gun's back. I have something to grab by, keep it on. I knew how to fast forward this on the video and make it look like a Speed Demon thing doing it. I do that. You can skip ahead on the scroll bar if you don't want to watch where the locations of each of these are. I wouldn't blame you if you skipped it. Just get it to where you want. The short one goes down here, by the way. The one that doesn't have the plastic preserving barrel, body, whatever to it. This one's the same way on these three. They're just simple, but with a big washer on them. Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my mom and pa, but not the way that I love you. Home, let me go home. Home is where I'm with you. Home, let me go home. So we got one more down in there somewhere. There it is. Let's kind of give it a little tug test. You'll find what you're looking for. Just kind of read it braille. Don't necessarily have to see everything, I guess. You can feel it. So we'll set that off on this side since we're pulling the driver's side head. And normally what I do on a head job, as everybody knows, is I just pull the whole engine, and then it's just a whole lot easier to work with for me. But we're going to do just one side, and so I figured, yeah, we'll just do a video on how to do it in the car. Next I'm going to pull the oil dipstick tube. This is a little bolt, and I'm familiar enough to know that the silver one's a dipstick tube, and I just throw it in with the rest of those bolts. And then you just gotta wiggle and twist, and it'll come out. It's mostly pulling. I just use my elbow on the radiator support. You don't want to bend this, because if you bend it, it's really hard to get everything to line up again. But eventually it'll come. It feels like it's never going to come, but they always do. I'll set that aside. The next thing to do is to just line up top dead center on this Hamajama. To do that, you got a mark in the timing cover right here. One right here. There's another here. And then these ones, they'll kind of line up on their own, but there's another mark here, and you just line it with the straight up here with the cast line. It's fun. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to tickle the dragon's tail. I'm going to grab this with a 17mm, do the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to move it counterclockwise. If I feel that give at all, then I need to either get off of it, or I need to make sure I re-torque that bolt. It'll move if you're gentle. Let me move it to this side so you can watch me do it. I probably shouldn't even teach this, but this is how I do it. I just grab it and I gently move them together. I'm putting equal pressure on both of these, because if one of them cracks free and comes undone later, you're for shitsled. But it's kind of like rock climbing without a rope. Don't do this. Looks like I'm the first one in here to do this belt. There's no print on it, and nobody else has marked it with pen. And we're dead on. I check up here, I've got another mark cast here and in the gear here. Move just a tiny bit more. And we're on. Dead on. So I'm going to pull you out of the tripod and show you what those marks look like. Grab your puke sack. So you've got a mark in the wheel right there that's cast in that needs to go with this. And once that's on, then do this one. Because this could be off, you know, this could be on and that could be off 180 degrees. Because this guy here moves twice for every once that one moves. And this one's really the critical one. When this is lined up, that doesn't mean you're at top dead center on a Subaru. That means that your pistons are mid-stroke. So you've got a little mark cast right there, and then another one on the wheel there. You can see those? Barely. And then this one, it's right here, you've got another mark that's right there. So we'll go ahead and proceed to pull everything apart. The way I like to take these apart is I'll pull this one off because it has the least amount of tension across here. So I pull that one off, and then I pull this one off, and then I pull the tensioner off. This little bracket is separate from the block, and it has to be because this will strip out sometimes because people pull that one out. Don't do that. That's not good. That'll cause that to strip out because it's got all of this tension and all this hydraulic force from the tensioner just on that one little one. So pull this one, then pull this one, and then it'll already be loose, and you can pull that straight out without stressing it. There we go. Why do I use a butterfly gun? Because I get a 90-degree angle right here, and I can, you know, move it anywhere I want. It's easier to manage the hose. So I go in and take this one out. Just all the way. Give her gas, give her hell all the way till she's out. Don't slow down at the end and screw up the threads. Same thing here, just... Wow, that's stuck. Just give her till she's gone. Whip out your 3/8 ratchet, the long one with the leverage. Go ahead and get it started. Throw it on the floor. Throw it up in the air like you just don't care. Alright. Get on out of here! We'll set that aside. Just leave the bolt in it. And now, the bolt, I mean, you can take the belt off now. I mean, it's just floppy nothing by the time you get it to this point. So when I pull this out, it's not going to have much of any stress on it at all. It rattles. It's got the stress of its aluminum weight. Now you put your finger back there because there's a washer. This one has an O-ring, not all of them do. And sometimes you drop the washer and you're like, oh crap, you know, I gotta go fishing for the washer. That one's still got the O-ring because ain't nobody touched this one before. sometimes the O-rings break. Next thing I like to do is get my airsoft gun, and just start shooting at it out of frustration. Or just blow the crud off of it. This keeps everything clean. This is your water pump, and this is where your thermostat lives. So you need to pull that hose out the bottom. This pipe goes down through here and then goes to the bottom. So I'll want to undo that clamp and pull that out and put the new water pump in when it comes in at 3 o'clock. In the meantime, I'm just going to start pulling my valve cover, because what are we doing? We're doing a head gasket job. So I'm going to pull my valve cover bolts, get them out of here. I'm of course going to pull out my oil filler thing. This compressor, the AC compressor, is going to go over here. So I'll probably find a happier place to put this mess. And it's going to be so much fun. So you can see I found a home for my pulleys. Then I take the timing cover, scoop out of the magnet dish all of my bolts for timing cover stuff, and the dipstick, put them together, and then I'll set them along the left side of the car. So we're shifting gears now. We've got everything cleared off the top to get the intake manifold off of our head so we can access it. We're going to have to just deal with this hose. I'd like to get that out of the way, but I don't want to have to recharge the system. Just be careful with it and treat it like, you know, something fragile, because it is. Treat it like 50 bucks or 75 bucks or how much your Freon costs. You can evacuate it and recharge it if you want. I just don't like dinking around with that. I'd rather just leave it charged. So you pull off your PCV hose and we'll get it out of the way. I don't think I'm going to mess with my lines here. I'm going to leave them all intact. So I'm just stacking things along the side of the car now. I just put my PCV hose next to the intake manifold, is next to the alternator and the radiator hose and all that. On my radiator, not that this is my car, but I just pulled the lines on the one side together, the transmission lines, left the hose on there, and that way, see how they stick up? They kind of curve up so they don't piss all over the floor. That's a great idea. I don't want to clean up. I don't want to do janitor stuff. I want to do mechanic stuff. I don't want to be a dishwasher, I want to be a technician, a SAR. In my moodiness of today, I forgot to drain the oil when I pulled the dipstick tube and just being distracted by filming. And sure enough, I've got the drain pan in the wrong place, so I'm going to clean the floor anyway. It's funny how what you try to avoid, you wind up attracting to yourself. Yeehaw. So as you can see down here, you got the exhaust pipe, and it's got nothing as far as the manifold. I've got it pulled. It's just the 3 nuts on each side, and then 3 nuts that go into here, here, and here, and then you can pull that out. What's interesting is you look up in here, look at where the head gasket is, and how badly that's been leaking. I mean, it's leaking oil. Normally they leak coolant on the back side, but interesting. V25 head. I was going to show you the EJ25 on the top. I don't know if I did that yet or not on the engine block. It's covered up again now, but there you go. EJ25. And this has got that stacked piece in the middle. This is a really common 2.5. But anyway, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and pull off all of these little bolts here. I just had lunch. It's about noon. I'm a little behind schedule. I've got most of everything out. I mean, that's reassuring and feels good and everything, but I was supposed to have a head off by now. So I've got this one, these 2 in here. You can see there's 1 here and 1 below, and then the 3 across the bottom. So there's a total of 8 in there, and we'll get that off, and then once that's off, then we'll have to pull this plate. We'll get our Torx bits out. See the little Torx right there? Pull all of those off and get all of our little pucks in order, and pull ahead. You can see the little oil pan under there. As soon as you pull that valve cover, even though you've drained the oil out of the oil pan, there's still a bunch of oil that's collected at the back of that one valve cover, so I want to have a pan ready. Well, this is fun. It's been forever since I did a single overhead cam. These are easy. These ones, you just have a 12-point socket required, a 14 millimeter. So you've got your 1/2-inch drive 9-piece metric sock set, and it says 12-point, or it should. 12 point's just the one that looks like this. It's just really busy looking. So you just take that and just 6 head bolts, bam, bam, bam. You're in and out and done. I want to flush all of these out because a bunch of crud and sand got in there. Even though I washed this, I car washed it, I air blasted it, there's always crap and sand that still gets in there. I want to blow this line on here really good. I'll stuff some blue rags in those intake holes before I do. But yeah, this one's going to be a real easy one. It's a good candidate for doing it with the head on engine in the car, for just doing just one bank. Most of the bolts are pretty easy to get to. There's the one that's behind the cross member that's a little tough. You got to reach in back through here. My air ratchet won't fit in there with the adapter because of the 1/2-inch drive. If I were to get another socket in there, I bet I'd have a lot better result. Just a regular 3/8 drive. But you can see the antifreeze is coming out through there pretty good now. Yeehaw. This isn't going to be too bad. These single overhead cam ones are pretty easy candidate for this. A dual overhead cam, you have to pull everything off in order to get down to it, and it's a pain. It's a lot easier to just take it out, like the whole engine, to do a dual overhead cam. Single overhead cam is a lot more doable. It's just been so long since I've done one of these. So I got all the head bolts backed out of there, and they're still in there, of course. And you just pull it back, work them out. Work it forward. That last one's going to give me hell, it looks like. There is not a millimeter to spare on this. Gotta get that bolt right in the crack between the cross member and the frame. It's all out but that one bolt.
I'll work that.
So there is a trick to getting that last bolt. You get all the top ones out, get them to clear really well. You remove them if you want, and then you just turn the whole thing up this way. And when you turn it up, that barely gives you room to clear. Now I've got another problem here. You can see I've got my EGR pipe on there. I didn't plan for that, so I'm gonna have to go back in and take that off. So as I said, I got that pipe out for the EGR. Now I can pull the bolt back again. Of course now it doesn't want to cooperate. Got all these others that slid down. Just rotate it up and pull it out. Of course I got an antifreeze drain pan to catch underneath. This side spills a lot of antifreeze. The other side spills a lot of oil. Fortunately, I've got drain pans that stack, so I can just stack whatever in that I need. This sucks. I like pulling the motor a lot better, I think. I could have had this whole motor out of here and been doing this on the ground and not fighting this. But you can do it this way if you don't have a cherry picker. It's a great option to have. I'm going off camera. This sucks. So I've got it off. How do I do it, you ask? I held this with my chin and then pulled this up and out. It is just messy. I don't know. It just puts you in a state of compromise to do it this way. I'd rather have it hanging up in a cherry picker or something. It's a lot easier to deal with. So anyway, can you do it? Yeah, you can do it. So some of you with older Subarus were wondering, what in the world's this extra stuff here? You know, we all remember the camshaft sensor being there, but what about this guy, this oil sending unit basically, and then this oil valve on the front of the head? Well, what those do is you take the head off, you'd be alarmed, you'd be like, oh no, one of your intake valves is busticated because they're not even like your exhaust valves. Well, what this does here is that it controls the way that the valves open and close from the back side. You can see those pins and how they're not together. That's the one that's a little bit low right there. You can see where the adjustment is for valve clearance. And it's basically offline, and so is this one over here. If that was in the open position, it would basically not be open all the way on that second valve, on the valve that's to the back. And when you have it not open as far, then you don't have to have as much air-fuel mixture going in. to keep it running. Just kind of nurses it along. Variable valve technology stuff. I don't know what Subaru calls their own brand, but that's what it is. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I have another video that talks about how to install a cylinder head or a head gasket, so you'll need to refer to that. I'll see if I can put a link in the description below, and you can click on that for the reassembly. As for me, I'm going to put on some loud music. I'm going to clean this sucker up, throw a head gasket in it, and be on my way. I want to go swimming tonight, so gotta get this done today if that's going to happen.